Hi, friends. It's time for another episode of Create This Book. The first prompt that I'm going to do says create something educational. Create the page around something you learned in school. To do this page, I'm going to use these SimpTap markers from Artex. These have a brush tip, and instead of pressing the tip to pump more paint, there's a little button on the back. It actually kind of reminds me of a nail oil pen. That's relatable for everyone, right? Anyway, let's get into this page. I'm going to attempt to do all of this without sketching. That's always a brilliant idea, but I just really didn't feel like sketching at this moment in time. Plus, it's paint, so if I mess up, I'll just paint over it. I'm starting by just going in with a base layer and sort of blocking in the general shapes and placement. Then I'll go back in and refine the painting and add details. This, by the way, is the life cycle of a ladybug. So, starting with the eggs on a leaf. So, there must be gentleman bugs to fertilize the eggs, right? Do ladybugs have relations? Better not continue with that train of thought. I'm sort of struggling with the colors on the leaf. Well, not sort of, really struggling, but that's fine. I'm just getting into the groove. I'll add some shadows to those eggs and then go back to messing with the leaf. See, whatever looks like butt can just be covered up. Next, we have the larva, which is actually my favorite. But before you think I'm weirder than usual, let me explain. So, I didn't actually learn about the life cycle of a ladybug when I was in school. I didn't know anything about it until I put it out as a work in my classroom. And who would have thought that this little thing turns into a ladybug? I just think that that's so cool, and now that I know what it is, I see little baby ladybugs all the time. Next, we have a pupa, the grossest sounding stage of bughood. I've never seen a ladybug pupa that I know of, but from what I've read, they don't move or eat, they just stay still inside this little shell and transform from larva to adult. That all sounds really gross, and we should just give them some privacy during this time. The last stage is adult. This is when they turn into the super cute little bugs that we all know so well. Ladybugs are actually my gateway bug for my students that are afraid of bugs. I have kids that are terrified of all bugs, even flies. But ladybugs are one of the first bugs that kids know. You know, they're on clothes and jewelry, so they can't possibly be scary. So I'll catch ladybugs whenever I see them and let the kids look at them until eventually they're brave enough to touch them or even hold them. And we just go from there. Now that all the stages are done, I can add some arrows so we know which direction we're going in. No Benjamin Button ladybugs here. Then I'll label out the stages and write out the title, spaced really badly. And this page is done. And I really like it. It came out really cute. Those SimpTap markers were actually sent to me by Artex. And they also sent me this gift box. No, this is not sponsored by Artex. I just thought that it would be really fun to open this on camera. The only thing that I did so far was take it out of this fully waterlogged box because it apparently got delivered sometime right before the storm with 80-mile-per-hour winds. So I took it out of that, but I haven't opened it any further. It's a nice wooden box, and it's got a little carrying handle. Inside, there's a card, and it says, Rose, 10 years. So grateful your pen tip has been sketching the world with us all this time. Well, I haven't been sketching for 10 years, but cool, thank you. We have some stickers, a watercolor sketchbook. It's got a little pocket here on the front for love notes. There's this really cute refrigerator sticker, otherwise known as a magnet. Can you see that? The glitter's moving. There's a couple of washi tapes, a little clippy, and an acrylic marker set. These are so cute. I'm excited to try these. I've never seen these ones before. Okay, back to the book. The second prompt I'm going to do says, create a fantasy home. And for this, I'm actually going to do a Victorian house because I have these recurring dreams about a giant Victorian style house with 3 floors. I have no idea why because I've never lived in a Victorian house, not even sure I've ever set foot in one, but I have dreams about it all the time. And weirdly, the houses that I dream about always have all of these hidden rooms and stairways that only go to certain floors but not the whole house. So you have to find the right staircase to get to certain parts of the house. And then you'll open a door and there's a whole second house that you didn't know was there. It's like the Winchester Mystery House in California, but way less haunted. Someone who's a dream analyst needs to tell me what all of that means. So I'm drawing the outside of the house, but just be aware that the inside has lots of fun secrets. I sketched out a rough idea in pencil off camera since you can't really see what I'm doing when I sketch anyway, and I knew that it was going to take forever with the actual inking part because I'm using a ruler to measure out all of these walls and windows and millions of tiny little details to make sure that they're nice and straight. And most of these are not even on the sketch. I'm just adding them as I'm flipping back and forth between references. In my dreams, there's always this towery room on the 3rd floor, and I go and look out at the rest of the neighborhood and kind of hide out and nobody can find me. So I tried to draw a window up here, and it must have just been the day that I'd had, but when this window came out crooked, after all of that measuring and inking work, I had a whole breakdown. I legit cried for a good 5 minutes over it. But then I got out a new piece of paper and my light pad and traced all of the lines I'd done so far, omitting that terrible window, and continuing the rest of the drawing. And ultimately, yes, this did set me back a bit, but the bit of silver lining was that I used a different fine liner for this, and I like the look of that so much better. The one that I'd been using was just a little bit thicker and bleedier than I was wanting, and this new one was much more crisp. Now, to add some color to this, I'm going to put some paper towels underneath because I'm going to use watercolor. And I'm going to use these Viviva watercolor sets that were sent to me by Viviva. Again, not sponsored. This one is actual watercolor pans in a little cork palette, and then this one is these color sheets where the watercolor is on a paper. I actually have used a set of these watercolor sheets once before, a long time ago, but I do really like that it lists the name of the person who handcrafted these. That's really cute. Anyway, let's get into painting this. I want this to be very, very colorful because I've always wanted a super colorful and fun house. I am going to limit the colors just a little bit so it doesn't look like barf on the page. I'm going with a raspberry sort of pink, a purple, and a tealy bluey green. And I'm just kind of making up the placement as I go along. I did not plan any of this out ahead of time, and I don't really have a clue if it's going to look good. I'm no architect or house outside designer person. I am also not a watercolor artist either, obviously, since this page is looking really messy. But it's actually going to go through a lot by the time we're done, so I'm not too worried. I already had my breakdown for the day. Speaking of which, I ended the day here and left the page to dry overnight. So then the next day, I went back in with some fine liners to add a little bit more detail. Don't look too closely at those roof tiles because I butchered them on the 2 side roofs and drew them upside down. I added a lot of borders on the walls and below the windows and some siding slats on a few of the sections. I don't really know what the point of all of this is, but it was on the references I was looking at and it really makes the house look more interesting. Then, since I wanted the house to have a bit more variation and I wanted certain areas to really stand out, I went back over the lines and thickened up a few of them. I kind of just went around the outsides of small sections of the house. And I'm really glad that I spent all of that time with a ruler because I'm doing a super great job keeping the lines straight and even when I'm going over them. But that's just going to add to the charm. Then I'm going to go in with a white paint marker to add in some areas where they that designed this weird house, where they added painted borders and details. After all of that, I'm going to go in with some colored pencils, just to add a tiny bit of shading in spots, like on the roof tiles and siding, add a bit of darker color, like these little square details, and touch up a few spots where the paint kind of bled everywhere. I made the front door a light pink because, of course, my door will be pink, and then I colored in these window divider things black. Then, because I thought the house still sort of blended all together, I went in with fine liners for the third time to try and make it clear that this middle area is in front of the side areas. Someday, I will figure out line width in less than 3 tries. Last, I just touched up the edges where some of the paint bled really far over, and then I added the page to the book. And this page is done. It was a lot of chaos and tears, and it's definitely not perfect, but considering where it started, I am super happy with it. And that's all I had time for this week. What do you think? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.